Hey everybody, Chef Bates here. We are going to be doing 3 different rice dishes, going over some of the basic information that you'll need to know about rice. The reason I'm doing this, of course, is that until we get a new instructor for your class, I don't want you to just sit in there playing on your phone. I don't want that. I want you to cook. And how much I know you love cooking. In order to get you cooking, this is the only way I can really think of to do it. So I'm going to demonstrate the entire recipe. From the mise en place all the way to the finished product. I'll put it on a plate, I'll show you what it's supposed to look like when you're done, give you some pro tips on making it well, and then next day, you're going to go and mise en place all your ingredients, just like I did. And gather all your ingredients the exact same way that I did. Exactly. And the following day, you'll be cooking. Either Chef Matt, who's in the room with me, say hi, Chef Matt.
Hello.
Or myself will be in the room the entire time you're cooking, and we'll kind of guide you through the process. So today is, just think of this like a normal demo. You're going to take notes just like you would with a normal demo. You're going to get the recipe from this demo. We're not printing out copies for you. That's you. You're going to do that. Isn't that exciting? I know you're excited. Woohoo! Yay! So let's start with what rice is. Rice is grass.
So when you think about rice being a grass, it's kind of hard to imagine. It grows in these giant fields in a lot of temperate areas of the world. All it really requires is a bunch of swamp. It's a very labor-intensive process, from the way that the land is prepared to preparing the seedlings. Then they pick up the seedlings, and then this is them. They're picking up the seedlings, knocking off the dirt. They rinse off the root. Then they replant them in another field altogether. In most parts of the world, they still have to use freaking cattle. They're walking through there in their high boots. Then they replant each seedling by hand. There's no machine that does that. Now they have to they have to grow in water because of the very nature of rice. But once it grows, it doubles, triples, quadruples in size. Then they're ready for the actual harvest. They go in there and they pull up. That's what rice looks like as the grass. Pretty cool, huh? They're going to pull that guy up. Then they're going to go over and they're going to thresh it, which is where they basically beat the heck out of the rice against a log. You don't believe me? You're just going to have to see this. So they're cutting it by hand. They let it dry, and then they beat it on a log. And that's going to knock off all the rice grains. They're going to fly up into the ground, up into the air, and then they're dried. They're aged. Now, this is true of pretty much all rice. All rice after it has been harvested, and then it has to be dried. Then comes the finishing steps. That's where it's going to be polished or milled. And when you mill, what you're doing is you're removing the outside of the rice. That's the husk or the hull. And that's what it looks like. That's whole grain rice, giant 1-ton bags, and it is prepared for the next phase. So, okay, so we got the rice. Excellent. This is what it would look like if you could, take that seed right off the plant and identify the parts. On the outside is the hull or the husk. It's inedible. That's got to be removed. Directly underneath that is a thin layer called the bran. Now, rice bran is got a lot of great nutrients, but some people just want white rice. They just want white rice, white fluffy rice. In order to get that, we have to remove the bran and we have to remove the germ, and that is called milling. When we mill rice, we're removing those things. Makes the rice much less healthy, of course. All the good stuff's gone, but more delicious. We're just going to be using white rice in this lesson. Now, prepping for your steamed rice is super simple. You're just going to take a cup of medium or long grain rice and you're going to rinse it until the water runs clear. That's it. Day of, you can measure out 2 cups of water. Do you need to pre-measure your water the day before doing mise en place? No. No, you don't need to do that. That's crazy. Do you need to measure out your salt? Don't got to do that either. We'll do that then.
it is the surface starch. You gotta get the surface starch off.
How do you know if it's coming off?
Water will turn milky.
Okay.
If you run it underneath the sink, that's actually the easiest way to do this.
Yeah.
Close enough?
Yep.
I'm gonna chop some parsley. Freshly chopped parsley. I just really, really love it. I'm not super crazy about the taste of Italian parsley. This is Italian flat leaf, as opposed to curly.
I didn't know there was a difference.
Sorry?
Didn't know there was a difference.
Yeah, the curly parsley has a much denser leaf. This is Italian flat leaf like this is. Also, to chop parsley, the parsley's got to be bone dry. If it's not bone dry, it'll kind of clump together and turn into like sort of blood.
All right, so if we're going to talk about setting up a cut station, it's fairly straightforward, right? You're going to sanitize your table, put a damp, not a soaking wet, washcloth on the table, place the cutting board on the cloth, and you're going to position it towards the edge, not off to the middle, like 5-6 inches in, so you have to lean over the table to make your cuts. Really, you just want to have it so that when you look down your nose, directly over what you're cutting, your nose points at the food. Well, straightforward, right? Super easy. And while I'm doing this little voiceover thing and explaining stuff, let's talk brunoise real quick. So first thing first, you're going to square off 2 sides of a carrot. This is a usable size. I cut about a 2-inch log. Then I cut off 2 sides to make it square so it'll sit flat on the cutting board. And then you just start progressing. You start cutting 1/4-inch slices all the way through. Lay them right on top of each other, because what I'm going to do in a minute is I'm going to start cutting them into julienne strips. You know, the match cut strip. Super easy. Could this be easier? No. It does take a little practice, though. First couple times you make it, your wedges aren't going to be nice and smooth, and even with a lot of practice, or if you're an old chef like me, you're still going to make some mistakes from time to time. All right, so I just trimmed off the side. So now they're all squared, right? Super straightforward. Cutting them into this is a classic julienne. It's an 1/8 by 1/8 by 2 inches. If you had to do a julienne cut, this would be it. You'll notice that the entire time that the knife is going, the tip is down and it's moving slightly forward. Watch, the tip is down, going slightly forward. Look at the hand that's holding the knife and the claw grip. I'm pushing away from myself with the knife towards the edge of the cutting board. That's how you do it. Everybody tries to go straight down like it's a freaking machete or it's a guillotine, and you're chopping. You're not going down. You're slicing, because a chef's knife is a slicing tool, not a chopping tool. Very rarely do we chop anything with a chef's knife, and I'm not using the fancy knives that I've got. I'm using just a standard old chef's knife, just like you're going to be using. What most chefs do is they're going to use the blade itself to lift the product into their hand. That way you get almost everything up all at the same time. Otherwise, with such tiny little products, it's going to go freaking everywhere. All right, so probably a good place to pause and go, hey, clean up after yourself. Wipe down your station before you move on to your next product. I mean, Don't be gross. Don't be disgusting. Reset your cut station. Washcloth down. Cutting board on top. Push towards the edge of the table. We're gonna chop an onion. Classic onion. Oh, look at that. That screen's just going everywhere. First thing you do is chop off the hair of your onion and chop off just a tiny little bit of the root. See, look. Tiny little bit of the root. Chop off the top. Take off all your scraps. Off they go into the trash. Then you're going to cut from your cut side to your cut side. Straight down the middle. Lovely. Look at that. I did such a good job. Now, we're going to take off the skin. What I'm doing right now is using the edge of the chef's knife to peel the skin. You can do that, or you can use your fingernails. But, I mean, honestly, the chef's knife just does a much better job. And it's quicker and more efficient. But, hey, maybe you like to go slow. Who knows? Clean off all that skin off your cutting board. When you're working with onions, cleaning off your cutting board in between work is really important because the onion skin's inedible. Now you're going to make some thin slices going towards the root. Not all the way through the root, towards the root. This guy I'm going to trim off the top just to make my life a little bit easier. Then I'm going to turn the onion the opposite direction, and once again, go straight down, all the way towards the root. Nice, easy slice. See, look at me go. I'm really good at this. Then turn it one more time, go straight down, and that's how you get those tiny little onion. Well, this is kind of like somewhere between a small dice and a brunoise. It's not quite either, but it's going to do the trick for what we need it to do. Now, right around the base of the onion, not the root itself, but right around the base of the onion, there's still some good usable part. We're not going to throw that away. Chop it all down, push it all together, chop, 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 chop. Make sure that it's all nice and finely diced. That's chopping your onion. Could not be an easier task, although this takes practice. Some people struggle with this for years. See that little skin? See that skin? I'm going to show it to you. Skin. Onion skin is terrible. You get onion skin in your food, it gets tough while you cook it, and then you're just going to, hate everything. It's going to be disgusting. Using the chef's knife again as sort of a flat little scraper to get up all my product. All right, so quick little wipe down, clean up our station. I'm going to reset my cutting board even though I'm not about to cut because I'll be cutting later on. Now, I wanted to go over something that people make the same mistake all the time. We got this chicken base, right? And we're going to use the chicken base to make the 1.5 cups of chicken stock that we're going to need. Look, it's 1 cup to 1 teaspoon of base. The mistake that people make all the time is they don't actually measure this correctly. They either put in too much or they too little. Some students have put in an entire cup of chicken base rather than actually read the instructions. So I need 1.5 cups. So I got 1.5 cups here of warm water. I'm going to take 1.5 teaspoons of base and I'm going to measure it around.
Blend it in. Then you have them taste this. What you're going to do is you're going to blend it in. Then you have them taste this. Everybody has to taste their stock. It should taste mildly like chicken. It shouldn't taste like intensely chickeny. Because it's all we're doing is adding a layer of flavor. One of the rules about pilaf is layering your flavors. It's true about pretty much everything you cook, to be honest. I mean, you want to always be thinking about layering flavors, having a little of this, a little of that, having the flavors hopefully, mesh well together. Hopefully not conflict like lemon and toothpaste. Have you ever brushed your teeth and then had like your breakfast cereal right away or something like that?
Orange juice, yeah.
Orange juice is
yeah,
the worst.
It's the worst one.
That's when flavors are aggressively contrasting. This is a layer of flavor, balanced. So take a little tasting spoon, and it tastes mildly like chicken. Here, taste that. Mildly, not intense.
That's cold.
Oh, it's cold. Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
give me a chill.
Yeah. This recipe also is going to call for oil, right?
Yeah.
So we got our oil on standby. And then we're going to do chicken stock again. That's 2 cups.
tablespoon more?
All right, so we have already made stock together. We don't really need to do that again. We're just making more this time. So you get your 4 cups of warm water. You're going to add, a teaspoon per cup. That's 1 tablespoon and 1 teaspoon. You're going to blend it together and stir like a crazy person until it dissolves. Next up is our mushrooms. Now, I'm not sure if we're going to have whole mushrooms or if they're going to be pre-sliced. What I'm working with during this demonstration is pre-sliced. You need 8 ounces of them. So just once more time, let's talk about the digital scale. You're going to plug that baby in. You're going to put in what you're going to measure your mushrooms with. Turn it on, set it to ounces, and then you're going to press the tare button. The tare button returns it to 0. See on the screen? It says 0. Nice. Then we're going to squish in all the mushrooms. Yum, 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 yum. Love button mushrooms. We're going to put it in until it gets just about to 8 ounces. If it goes a little bit over, don't worry about it. I certainly don't want you tearing off a portion of a mushroom to try to make it perfect. It's okay if it goes just a little bit over. But, 8 ounces of mushrooms is a lot. You're going to have to really squish to get them in there. Once you got your 8 ounces of mushrooms, pa-dam! You'll notice that was slightly less than 8 ounces. Then you can start working on the butter. You need 3 tablespoons of butter, but we've got the big wedge of butter, so the easiest way to do that is to tear it out again and go with 1.5 ounces of butter. 1.5 ounces, because 1 tablespoon is half an ounce. So that's pretty straightforward, right? Awesome. You got this.
So it was 1.5.
A half of an ounce. Butter is a 1/2 ounce per tablespoon.
Okay.
So I went a little bit over. I got 1.623. Does that matter? No. I could spend the next 3 hours, take a tiny little bit of butter and add it, and take a tiny little butter and take it off. Waste of my life. Absolute waste of my life. And I think we all, the only thing other, we're going to add some minced shallots to this. For my culinary 3 students, they remember this from the vegetable lesson when we were talking about vegetables, that onions and shallots. This is a shallot. A shallot is the green onion. Do we have to measure it? Weigh anything else? All right, so basic same rules apply when mincing a shallot as when you're mincing a onion. And that is, you just trim off just a little bit if you can. The difference is that all shallots have 2 segments. There's 2 segments, so there's a big one here and there's a smaller one here. Most chefs separate those 2 just to make their lives easier. No real reason. It's not like, oh, this is the right way. It's just to make your life easier. Then you get these 2 smaller versions. Yeah, they're sweeter than onion. They have this lovely little, very, very distinct aroma. They're added in lots and lots of French cooking as opposed to onion because they have a milder, sweeter flavor.
You said French cooking?
Yes. Now risotto is a weird dish in that it is both Italian and French.
Yeah.
Pilaf is pretty much just Italian. So you're going to slice it the same exact way. Notice how the knife is tilted way far up? It's really the only time you do that, when you're cutting something that small. And I'm just letting the knife run right on my fingernail. See, it's just gliding right over my fingernail.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't think that the difference would be that significant between cooking with an onion and cooking with a shallot, but it really is. Last up is just a little bit of Parmesan, if I'm not mistaken, right?
And parsley.
Oh, and some more parsley. Well, we already got some parsley cut. I'll
Cool.
just use that.
Just the Parmesan cheese.
1/4 cup of ground Parmesan.